And I'll tell you this, if the meaning of life is years and years as a student being in the dark ages, of not having a life, of not being able to enjoy the freedoms and creativity. Good afternoon from Wuhan, China. Hi, my name is Jesse. Thanks for watching my channel. Today, I want to talk about education. And the context is my wife, Summer, went back to school today for the start of spring semester. She's not so happy about that, but especially since I'm walking around East Lake while she is herding students. But that comes on the same day that, the news in Washington, D.C. is all about Elon Musk trying to dismantle the United States Department of Education. Won't get into details. This is not that kind of channel, but it does make me think a lot about the difference between students in China and America, and more broadly about all the tech jobs in America, that many of them are being taken by foreign workers under what's called the H-1B visa program. Again, no need to get into the details. If you know it, great. If you don't, just know that there's a visa program to bring in skilled workers. Wanted to get on a little quieter path. Yeah, so Summer works at an international high school for Chinese students who want to study abroad, or to put it more clearly, whose parents want them to study abroad. But they're very competitive students, and many of them get into the Ivies, or in Britain, Cambridge and Oxford and London School of Economics and all that. And all I've ever said, and I've taught in China, well, I used to teach right across the street at Wuhan University, but I'm enjoying my first few months of retirement. Woohoo. Yeah, so I've known Chinese students for years and years, and all I can say is that thank goodness, thank Buddha, I didn't grow up in China. That's what I want to say. Thank Buddha, I didn't grow up in China. I would never have survived the academic rigor of the school system. Oh my God, if you know it, you know it. If you don't, this little anecdote well, not really an anecdote, but this little phrase that one of my students taught me once. She talked about her high school years, and she called them the dark ages. I said, the dark ages? And she said, yeah, every day I was locked in my bedroom, not allowed out until dinner, till I studied everything and did all my homework, and then locked back in again. The dark ages. And while I've never been to India, I am sure that there are similar stories about just how hard the school's curriculum is there. I think a lot of it stems from these countries being so competitive for jobs because there are so many people, and if you don't land, a job in some, money-making field like anything in the STEM area, you're going to have potentially a very difficult life. I think that's where the impetus is, although I am not discounting, hundreds, if not thousands of years of, in China at least, Confucian culture or respect for teachers, respect for education, for academic advancement, that kind of thing. But to get back to Musk and the dismantling of the United States Education Department, which, if you're not American and if you don't pay attention, again, it's a lot of it in the weeds, but suffice it to say that I'm an educator. I'm a teacher for the last 20 years. You don't make the education of the United States children better by taking apart any kind of centralized help. You know, I could go on, and again, I don't want to get into the weeds. But Musk, he's been on a warpath. Another thing that he is doing is he's advocating for more H-1B visas in tech, and you know, he's a tech entrepreneur. He wants workers. He wants the best workers for his businesses. You know, anyone can respect that. But he really riled a lot of Americans and even the Trump MAGA base when he made the following statement. Give me a moment to pull it up. He posted on X that there is a permanent shortage of engineering talent in America. Permanent. So, yeah, that is an indictment on our education system. But again, I just thank the Buddha that I didn't grow up in China. I mean, let's talk about life for a little while. I mean, you've got your own answers to this. What is life all about? What is the meaning of life? And I'll tell you this, if the meaning of life is years and years as a student being in the dark ages, of not having a life, of not being able to enjoy the freedoms and creativity that Americans have, of choosing extracurricular activities, hanging out with your friends, you know, the whole tiger mom thing of you're not allowed to have play dates, you're not allowed to play sports, you're not allowed to get any grade lower than an A, you're not allowed to play any instrument unless it's a violin or the piano. That kind of life exists here in China for so many young people. In fairness, it's not really all Chinese. I mean, come on. This is a country of 1.4 billion people, and you know, some small fraction are in this academic rat race, and the rest of the people, you know, have normal jobs, like, you know, the people who served my bowl of noodles today. In describing the situation to people who have never been to China, and I'm sure it's similar in its own way in India, you know, their populations are so big that even if only 10% of Chinese are, you know, college educated with an engineering degree or other STEM degree, it's 140 million people. So it's kind of like the educational economy of scale. And I mentioned my wife Summer teaching at the international school. That is actually like a whole different track, educational track, alternative way for rich families, wealthy families who don't want their kids to go through the Chinese system. They want them to get out. They want them to study abroad. They want them to have freedoms that are not afforded here to most Chinese. So they put them in international schools, and they do work hard, you know, like anything, most of them. And when they get abroad, well, let me talk about my experiences again. In addition to teaching in universities here in China, I have also taught in universities in the United States. Most recently, the past 1.5 years at the University of Pittsburgh, where I was teaching, got to get my grammar right, where I was teaching composition classes to first-year international students, many of whom were Chinese, not all of them. I had some, from many different countries, but the point is that I know that when they get to America, they really appreciate the freedom, even if it's only to set your own schedule. You know, here, you get a schedule, you're basically in the same classes as everyone in your cohort for 3 years. And there are electives, but they're very limited. Mostly you're taking core courses, whereas in America, you can basically plot your own course. I mean, sure, if you're taking, engineering or pre-med kind of biochemistry or whatever, you've got to follow a set curriculum. But there are so many more opportunities, like I say, to be yourself. And the cost of that is, maybe this is what makes Indian and Chinese and other countries, engineers and software developers and whatnot, makes them have an advantage because they've spent so many more hours, so many more classes honing their craft. Like I say, at what cost? People who are in these fields, they may tell you that they love it. Others may tell you that it's really boring. You'd have to talk to them. All I know is that it's just not for me. Never has been. And let me just take a moment to say what a wonderful job they've done here on the lakefront. They had been putting this area where I'm walking now under construction. When I was here in February, it was completely walled off, and now I can see the results, and it's a really nice job. If you have watched my videos, dating, more than a year back, I often come here. And one of the problems is that this place is on not a major road, but it's on a bit of a busy road. And the walkway was right next to the road, and it became incredibly loud, not a small amount of time. So I really appreciate the job they've done here. It's really nice. They've obviously hired the right engineers for the right job. One last thing before I go. When I was thinking about this topic, I remembered something that President George W. Bush said about 20 years ago. He also wanted to revamp the education system because in America, test scores have been dropping for decades now. He wanted to keep the Department of Education, but he wanted to add standards, centralized standards. Anyway, we never forget this quote that President Bush said, "Is our children learning?" Well, is they? I guess if we ask Elon Musk, he says no. He says the children in India and China is learning. And with that, I think I'm going to end this video. Really want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you liked this video, please press the like button. Drop a comment below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, subscribe. All right, till next time, take care. Bye.